Well, hello everyone. I hope you've had a very nice week. So today we are going to be doing something a little bit interesting in that, well, who has an Amazon Echo or a Google Home or Siri on their phone? We're going to make something that's a little bit similar to that. Now, it won't be able to understand our speech, but it will be able to reply back to us. So what we're basically making is a virtual home assistant. So that's going to be let's have a look at how we do that. Well, we're going to be writing this in Python, which we've seen many times before, but we're going to be going a step further, and we're going to be writing it in a certain flavor of Python. Now, quite often, computer scientists will talk about different flavors of different software or different programming languages or anything like that. And the flavor we're going to be using is MicroPython. So this is Python that's meant to work on a microbit. But we're not going to use the microbits for it. We're going to use a different website, and that website is create dot with code, all one word, dot uk. And if you type it incorrect, you should have a website a bit like this. So what can I do with this? Well, createwithcode.uk is a full Python interpreter, meaning, well, it interprets Python for us. But before we get started actually writing some Python, let's set up the website a bit, just to make things easier to see and easier to read. So if you go and click this little plus icon in the bottom right hand corner, it opens up the settings. So we've got this gear icon. And if you click that, it brings up the settings. I'm going to turn my font. I'm going to make it bigger so it's easier to see. There we are, 18 point seems to do. And I'm going to change that for the output as well. I quite like the dark colours. But you could have dusk, you could have light, but dark is easier for me to read. Okay. This run mode option is very useful if you need to debug your program. If you go step through single line, then it shows you what line is executing. And then the same for animate line by line. But we're not going to touch these at the moment. I'm just leaving mine on whole program. Otherwise we'll be here for ages. Once you're happy with your settings, you can go and press close up there. And we're all set to go. I will just mention one thing. If for any reason you accidentally close this window or you lose all of your code, then you can always go down to this little clock symbol down here. It says recover code from a previous session. If you click that, you can drag the slider back in time, and hopefully it will be able to recover your code from a previous time. You just select the one that looks right and then you click recover. At the moment, I don't have any code stored, so it's not allowing me to recover anything because there is nothing to recover. But that's a very useful thing if you accidentally close the website, or if something goes wrong, or if a bug happens that you can't fix. So let's press the close button at the top of the code recovery panel and let's start. So we want to create a speech assistant. That means we need a library. And we don't need any of this code that's already here. So I'm going to delete what's already here. And what I want to do is I want to use the speech library. Now, every time we use a library, we have to import it. So import space speech. So the speech library is only available in the MicroPython flavor. So it doesn't work in normal Python, but thankfully it works on this website. And it also works in microbits as well. But we're just going to type import speech. And that will allow us to use all the necessary speech methods. So on the next couple of lines, I'm going to type in speech.say, open bracket. And now every single bit of speech to say, every single word needs to be inside two speech marks. Speech mark, and then what do I want to say? Well, I want to say, hello, this is a robot talking. Now I finished that, so I need to have another speech mark to close it, and I need another bracket to close it. So if you look, we've got an open bracket here and a closed bracket here. We've got an open speech mark here and a closed speech mark here. Now, the number one mistake that sometimes happens is sometimes people put two apostrophes together rather than one speech mark. So if I delete these, well, it's changed color, which means obviously we know it's not working. But if I type into apostrophes at the start and then two apostrophes at the end, we can see that it doesn't work. So you need to make sure that you're using speech marks and only one speech mark. You might need to have to press Shift to get it. So, yeah. And every time that we write something that is being said by the computer, then it needs to be inside these speech marks. And you can tell it's working because it's all green. Right, let's test this out. So, I'm going to grab my mouse, take it down to this big play button in the bottom right-hand corner. Let's see what happens.
Hello, this is a robot talking.
And there we are. We've got a talking computer. It's a little bit of a, shall we say, dodgy voice. It doesn't get some words right. But, yeah, we are. We've got something that is very close to what Amazon Alexa or Google Home or Siri do. Or Bixby if you're into Samsung. So, what can we do with this? Well, we can carry on saying things like, very nice day today. Let's see if that works.
Hello, this is a robot talking. I had a very nice day today.
Excellent. So, we can get it to say whatever we want, but there are some limitations. We can't have a phrase that is too long. So if I carried on writing, for example, what am I thinking of? It was really if we start writing too much.
Hello, this is a robot talking. I had a very nice day today. It was brilliant and the sleepy dot.
It cuts it off early. We can't write too much in there, otherwise he won't say it all. So instead, if that happens, we have to write it on a new line, and we have to write it in a new speech.say. I'm going to paste that back in. Oh, now what mistake have I made here? Look, I've closed the close bracket too soon. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to put the speech mark back at the end and the bracket back at the end. Yeah, so the point being is if you make your sentence too long, it won't finish saying it all. There are some other errors that can happen. Sometimes it gets a little bit confused if I write too much of one thing. So, for example, I'm going to type the letter O. And lots of times. Let's see if he can cope with it.
Hello, Mrs. Rapatoye. I had a very nice day today.
And see, it doesn't work. In fact, it's actually frozen the simulator. And see, my web browser doesn't like that. So it's caused a lot of problems. So let's just stop it. Let's just close that down. In fact, I can't close it down. It's frozen even. So when it comes to writing sentences, it's best if we keep them, how do I say this, sensible sentences. Because otherwise we'll end up confusing it a bit. So to get out of this situation, I'm going to grab my mouse and I'm going to press the reload button. Now, depending on which browser you're using, you may or may not have that there. It's commonly associated with the F5 button. So if you can't find your reload button, then F5 button's going to work. But that's only if you get an error like this. Okay, so I've reloaded it and we can see that I've lost all my code. Well, this is where the history option comes in, the restore previous session. So I click the plus icon, I click the restore clock, and I wind it back until I find the last bit of code that I wrote, and it was that one. So now I'm going to click recover. And there we are, we're back to it. We haven't lost anything. And let's delete this before we press play again because it will cause issues. So instead we will have something like sensible sentence. Let's see if it works again.
Hello, Mrs. Rapatoye. I had a very nice day today. Sensible sentence.
There we are. All working. So yeah, we need to be careful with what we write. There is also the possibility that there might be another bug. Now, I'm not experiencing this bug, but when my friends have been helping me test this out, some of them had it so that the robot was missing out the first few words. And instead of saying, hello, this is a robot talking, they would say, is a robot talking. They'd miss out the hello this part. And if you're struggling with that issue, then the easiest fix I found was to put 4 I's and a space at the start. So this is only if your robot is missing out words, but that seems to force it to be able to say the first few words if it's missing them out. If yours isn't missing them out, then all you'll do is you'll end up your robot.
Hello, Mrs. Rapatoye. I had a very nice day today.
Let me play that again.
Hello, Mrs. Rapatoye.
All it'd do is add a little bit at the start, but only put in the 4 I's if yours doesn't work correctly. So, where are we? Well, we've got the robot replying to us, but we need it to be more interactive, more be able to talk to us. So I'm going to delete what we have already. And I'm going to kind of start again. Make sure I still got import speech, because it won't work without import speech. What should I say? Well, let's have it so that the robot can actually talk to us. So let's get it to ask our name. So we can say speech.say. Remember, I put the 2 brackets in, and then I put in the 2 speech marks. I can say, hello, what is your name? Okay. And on the next line, I want to be able to store the answer that the user writes. So, if I want to store anything in computer science, the first thing I need is a variable. And my variable is going to be called answer. So, answer, what do I want answer to be? Well, I want answer to be what the user types in. So I say answer equals input, and that will grab whatever the user types in into the keyboard. But yeah, I want it to also be able to see this on screen. So inside input, I'm going to type your name here. Okay. So answer should be grabbing the user's response, their name, from the keyboard. What are we doing with answer? Well, we want the robot to say the answer. So we can say speech.say, open bracket, speech mark, hello. What do I want to say? I want to say hello, whatever your name is. So I've finished the hello part. So I need to close with a speech mark. But also, after hello, I'm going to put a space. And I'll explain in a bit. But after speech mark hello space speech mark, I need a plus, and then I can type in answer. So what's going on? Well, everything you see that's green is a string. It's a bit of text. And when we're grabbing the answer from the user, anything that I type on the keyboard is also text. So what I'm doing is I'm taking their name, which they stored in answer, which is a piece of text, and I'm adding it onto hello. So I get a long piece of text which says hello, whatever the name is. Now, I need the space after hello, because if I don't have the space, if I'm the user and I type in Jack for what is your name, Jack, if I don't have the space, then the robot would say, hello, Jack. But if I do have the space, it'll say, hello, Jack. Let's see this in action. So let's press play.
Hello, what is your name?
What is my name? My name is Jack.
Hello, Jack.
There we are. It says it perfectly fine. Hello, Jack. Let's see what happens if I delete the space after hello.
Hello, what is your name?
My name is Jack.
Hello, Jack.
Can you see how it went slightly wrong? It didn't say hello, Jack. It said hello, Jack. So the space there is important. So I'm going to put the space back in after hello. Right. There we are. We've been able to get the very basics of a speech assistant down. Let's add a little bit more to it. Let's think about what commands we want our speech assistant to process. So the simplest command I can think of is Well, I want my speech assistant to say hi to me. I also want it to tell me the time, uh, maybe tell me a joke, things like that. So we're going to go about setting how we do that. So let's get rid of what we have so far, except from the import speech. I need to be in a state where I'm constantly checking whether the user has typed anything. And if we're constantly doing something, then we need something that allows us to check repeatedly. So we're going to use a repeat, and the repeat we're going to use is a while. So I'm going to say while, and we need to measure something. While something is true, while something is false. Well, what am I going to measure? Let's talk about what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a menu system almost, and it'll keep asking the user what they want to do next. What do they want to do next? What do you want to do next? And as soon as the user types something, it will do that thing. But if they type exit, it will stop. Because what's the use of a program that never closes? You'd never be able to shut down your computer. So we need to tell when the user has typed exit. So above this while, I'm going to create a variable. And this variable is going to store whether or not the user wants to exit. So let's call this variable want exit. I can say, well, if they don't want to exit, I can say wants exit equals false. Now make sure the false has a capital F. So if this is false, we should enter into our while loop. We should start looping. So next to my while, I'm going to write while want exit equals false. And what this is asking is wants exit false. So this line here sets it to be false. This line here asks if it's false. And at the end of that line, I'm going to put a colon because that means we're starting our while loop. And now when I press enter, we can see that it's moved everything to the right by one indent. This is because we're now inside our while loop. So what should we do inside our while loop? Well, we should say speech.say what would you like to do next? Okay. Well, this is obviously a prompt for the user to write something. So we can say answer equals input. What would you like to do next? You don't need to have this line inside the input, but this line makes things easier to see because the voice is a little bit difficult to understand. If you can't see the sentence, then you might not understand what the voice has said. Okay. Let's see what we have so far. Let's see what happens. And here's a spoiler, nothing much happens. Let's press play.
What would you like to do next?
What would I like to do next? Let's just say test.
What would you like to do next? What would you like to do next?
See, it carries on forever, even if I put in some
What
rubbish.
would you like to do next?
It doesn't it doesn't exit, even if I type in exit.
What would you like to do next?
I've made it so that my program never ends, which isn't great. So I'm going to click this big red square that stops running the program. There we are. So what I need is an exit statement, an exit clause, something that happens when I type, as a user, exit. So on the next line, I'm going to say, if the user writes exit, then we should say goodbye. So if answer equals, now I want it so if it's equal to exit, it ends. And notice I put exit inside some speech marks. Okay, so this is an if statement. We need a colon next. If the answer is exit, sorry, in Python, if answer equals exit, what should I do? I should say speech.say goodbye. Are we done? Not quite. And I'll show you why. I'm going to click play now.
What would you like to do next?
Let's say, well, let's just exit.
Goodbye. What would you like to do next? Goodbye. What would you like to do next?
Okay, so I can see a couple of problems there. We don't actually exit our loop. And also, it can't say goodbye. It says goodbye, which is kind of cute. I kind of like it. I might keep that. I might change it. But at the moment, we are still in our loop. So let's press the big red square again to stop the program running. I need to be able to exit my loop. So what's keeping the loop going? Well, the loop carries on every time once exit is false. So if I want my loop to stop, I'm going to set once exit to true, because of course, if the user wants to exit, then that's true. They do want to exit. So underneath my goodbye statement, I'm going to say once exit equals true. Okay. One thing to double check, true should have a capital T, and once exit should be spelt the same throughout the entire program. So let's see if this works. Let's press play.
What would you like to do next?
I would like to exit next. Let's press OK.
Goodbye.
And there we are. It finishes. Our program ends. This is what the underscore rep L means. Our program has finished. So yeah, there we are. We've got the first bit of our menu loop. And we've got our first command as well. And our first command is exit. So let's add some more commands. So all the commands afterwards I'm going to add underneath, but I need to be careful of how far away from the left they are. So if I press enter now, it wants me to write my code there, which means it wants me to write it inside if answer equals exit. Which means that anything I write here will only happen if the user types exit. I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to press backspace twice. You can see how my cursor is now in line with this if. That means we're now outside of the if. That means that anything I write here will happen instead of the user writing exit. Now, just for clarity, I'm going to go down another line, making sure my cursor is still in line with the start of this yellow if here. And this is where I can write my other commands. So if the user writes exit, I should exit. Else, if they write, let's say hi, I should say hi. So how do I do else if? Well, in Python, that's shortened to elif. Elif stands for else if. So I can say elif answer equals equals, and now I decide on my next command in SpeechWorks. My next command is going to be say hi. Okay. Now, because this is still an if statement, I still need the colon at the end. And when I press enter, it brings me inside the elif. So what I write here only happens if the user writes say hi. What do I want to say? Well, I want to say speech dot say hi. And that's it. We don't want to exit this time, so we're not going to change once exit. We're just going to leave it as that. Let's see what happens.
What would you like to do next?
What would you like to do next? Well, I want you to say hi. Let's click OK.
Hi. What would you like to do next?
There we are. Let's do that again. Say hi.
Hi. What would you like to do next?
Let's exit.
Goodbye.
There we are. So we've got our first command. We've got say hi. That's a fine command. It's a bit of a basic one. So let's update that a little. Let's make a new one. I'm going to make a command called parrot. Now the parrot command, I'm going to have it so that it parrots everything back to me. So everything I tell it, it replies back. Okay, so I need a new elif. So I press enter. I press backspace twice. And I press enter again. So elif answer equals equals parrot colon. What should I do if the user wants to play the parrot game? Well, my robot should ask what word should I parrot. So let's say speech.say what should I parrot? And then this is another case where I need to grab input from the user's keyboard. So to do that, I'll need a variable. I can't use answer again. I need to use something else. So let's call this, it's still an answer, let's call it parrot answer. So parrot answer equals input, write the phrase the robot should parrot. Okay. How do we get our computer to say what we write? Well, we store what we write in parrot answer, so we can just get it to .say parrot answer. Notice that I don't put any speech marks around parrot answer. That's because it's a variable and not a string. String should have speech marks around them, variables should not. Let's try this out now. Let's press play.
What would you like to do next?
What would I like to do next? I would like to parrot.
What should I parrot?
Alright. What should we get our computer to say? I know what we can say. Did you see that ludicrous... Oh, I spelled it wrong. Ludicrous display last night. Okay, now as soon as I press OK, it should say what I wrote.
Did you see the loot I just displayed last night? What would you like to do next?
And then it repeats. I'm not convinced I spelled ludicrous right, but I'm a computer scientist, not a you know, what's the word? English teacher. There we are. Anyway. So anything I type into parrot,
What should I parrot?
he will say back. So let's have Python is the best.
Python is the best. What would you like to do next?
Okay, it didn't exactly pronounce Python right, but oh well. Okay, now I'm going to exit now.
Goodbye.
And it says good B at the end. Yeah, his pronunciation's a little funny, but it's not bad. Considering that to make a speech assistant, someone has to sit in a recording booth for over a month, just saying words into a microphone. So, yeah, it's a tough job. So, we've got the exit clause, we've got the say hi command, we've got the parrot command. What happens if I wanted a reverse command? So it would take everything that I write, but turn it backwards. Okay, so this is a new command, so I need to press enter, then backspace twice, then enter again. So elif answer equals. And what should be the keyword for this command? Well, I'm going to call it reverse. Okay, colon. So what should I do if I want to reverse? Well, I need to get input from the user again. So speech.say what should I reverse? Okay, and on the next line, well, I need to store input, so I need another variable. I can't use answer, I can't use parrot answer, so I'm going to call one called reverse answer. Reverse answer equals input. What phrase should be reversed? I remember I need the bracket on the end. Okay, so this is going to be identical to the parrot command, but with one key difference. And that is we need to reverse whatever it is that the user types in. So I'm going to say speech.say reverse answer. But then before closing off the bracket, I'm going to write a interesting bit of code. I'm going to write square bracket, colon, -1, and then the close square bracket. So what does this do? Well, if you remember back 2 weeks ago, I said that anything that is scaled by -1 flips it around. I did this in GameFruit. Remember, we were trying to get the character to turn around in GameFruit? Well, in Python, this is how you get a string to turn around. We're scaling it by -1. So that should reverse whatever I type in. So I'm going to put a close bracket there. How can we be sure, though? We can hear what the robot is saying, but we can't see anything. So to be extra doubly sure that it's reversing correctly, on the next line, I'm going to write print, open bracket, and then I'm going to write the same thing again. So reverse answer, square bracket, colon, -1, close square bracket, close rounded bracket. Okay, let's see if this works. Let's click play.
What would you like to do next?
What would I like to do next? Well, I would like to... Let's do the reverse command.